And to our first conversation now, the Central Bank of Nigeria has unveiled a new framework for automated teller machine transaction fees set to take effect from March 1st, 2025. The revised policy eliminates free interbank withdrawals and introduces charges of up to 600 naira for every 20,000 naira withdrawn. Well, we'll hear more now from Mr. John Simon Onoja, the Acting Director of Financial Policy and Regulation at the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
So, definitely, customers are not so happy with this hike, because it seems, 2025 is coming with, hike for this, hike for that. We're still battling, the telecom operators, for their recent tariff hike. But now we're getting ATM withdrawal fees. That's going to rise at this point. And I'm wondering what's in it for the bank customer at this point, because some customers are saying, the banks charge us for everything, at this point.
Thank you very much. It's not charges for everything. Basically, the Central Bank of Nigeria has the responsibility of balancing the interest of all stakeholders in the issuance of its policies, and this is not an exception. And so when we issued the policy recently, it is for the interest of both the customer and the operators. On the side of the operators, there need to be service provided, and they need to be also encouraged because of the cost of providing the service. And on the side of the customer, it is for the customer to have a better service delivery. And so if you look at the thing that came out, the circular that came out, it is a balanced provision of satisfying both the provider and the customer. Specifically, we are interested in ensuring that the customer has access to cash at the ATM, because our experiences have shown that most times you go to the machines and then you are told the cash is not available. So this circular is to ensure that there's availability of cash in all the machines, and then to also ensure that the provider is not also running out of profit. So it's a balanced circular that came out.
We're talking about what's in it for the customer at this point, because it seems the average consumer is going through a lot, with hikes, with the tariff hikes and all of that. But at the end of the day, it's with ATM withdrawals. And some will say the ATMs, we're not even getting cash there at this point. And I was asking you, is it that running the ATM machine wasn't profitable, for the banks? That's why we couldn't have access to cash.
One more time, thank you. I tried to say that, yes, it's a balanced circular. And as a regulator, the CBN is like the door that looks at both the inside and the outside. So we are not just on the side of the bank. We are also ensuring that the customers get the service that they deserve. Yeah, so on the side of the customer, what is the need for them, like in your words? Now, we are going to ensure now that the customer has cash anytime he goes to the ATM. And one other thing that you're going to see now, you must have seen an amount of 20,000 being mentioned several times within that short circular. And what that means is that the experiences that we have when we get to the ATM, and then you are told you cannot withdraw more than 5,000, especially when it is not on us, or 10,000 as the case may be, is going to stop. Now, you can withdraw up to 20,000 as you deserve or as you desire. You can have 20,000 at a go to withdraw. For example, in the past, if you want to withdraw 20,000, you have to do that like 2 or 3 times, as the case may be. So we are telling the bank that for a customer who has a desire to withdraw up to 20,000 at a go, he should have that all the time to withdraw, and that reduces the transaction cost we are talking about. So that's one of the benefits for the customer. And then to also let you know that at some off-site locations, premium locations where you neither have the bank, neither on us or not on us, you have ATMs that are going to be deployed, such that at any point in time you can walk into the machine and get your cash. And the cost of getting cash compared to what you might want to get from what is unconventionally going on is going to be low. For example, you are saying now For a withdrawal that is not on us, you pay 100 naira. But for a withdrawal that is on us, it's free at any point in time and at any location, whether it is premium or conventional location.
All right, so definitely we've been talking a lot about trying to improve financial inclusion. Is the central bank worried that this might be a risk to financial inclusion, as most people here heavily rely on on the ATMs for cash? Are you afraid these withdrawal fees might actually dissuade people from using these machines?
Rather, I think it's going to be the opposite of what we have observed, because the feedback we get is that because of non-cash, because of not availability of cash at the ATMs, people go to unconventional ways of getting cash, like I mentioned earlier. There are some people that are there that are illegally selling cash to customers or to those who need cash. And you agree with me that those costs are higher than what the 100 naira you will pay for 20,000. I'm sure if you go to the streets and you meet those illegal people and they sell cash of 20,000 to you, you're going to pay more than 100 naira. So it's rather bringing more people into the financial cycle. And again, to also tell Nigerians that they are going to have more ATMs deployed in remote locations where they hadn't been before, which is another way of furthering the financial inclusion drive. So it's the opposite of what you're saying, my interviewer. You're going to have more cash, you're going to have more machines, and you're going to be sure that cash is going to always be available at the machines, and you're going to withdraw more than what you could have withdrawn in the past.
So at this point, Nigerians can be sure that after or come March 1st, once we go to the bank ATMs, we can get cash and we can get as much as 20,000 naira.
Absolutely.
All right, so definitely we'll be looking forward to that. We'll also be tracking, to see how all of that plays out. But I'd like to get your outlook now. What are you seeing, for the rest of 2025? Is this going to be finally behind us? The whole issue of Nigerians having to go to or rely heavily on POS operators, to get cash. Is that going to be behind us? What are you seeing for 2025?
Yeah, let me also put it here that the CBN is also driving a cashless economy. Is in a situation where you don't need cash all the time to be able to transact your business. And so there are other channels of transactions that are also available through our payment systems. You can use the POS to make payment, the merchants are there. So that the cash you need is just in the event that you at least need a little cash. So we want to say that driving financial inclusion is also driving the cashless towards a cashless society. In the event that you don't need 1 million naira cash to transact a 1 million naira business, you could do a USSD transfer. You could go online to transact business. You can also go to a merchant and use your card to make payment. But in the event that you need minimum cash, that is why we say the ATM is there. But going forward, we want to believe that the banks have committed themselves to this drive, and you're going to be sure that the cash will be there. And right. On the monitoring note, you need to also know that the CBN has been monitoring the performance of banks through the ATM. We've been visiting the machines and ensuring that banks, and this is not probably to the public, but some banks have been sanctioned for not complying with the banking regulation on ensuring that cash is available always at the ATM. So while we roll out the policy with the commitment of the commercial banks and the financial institutions, we also have our monitoring team on the supervisory side to ensure that the circular is complied with.
Right, and I hope we also monitor the banks to make sure their other channels work seamlessly, because most of the time you try to do a transaction on the bank app and it fails, most of the time, or the first time, or sometimes the transaction doesn't get to where you're sending it to, which makes people want to use cash. So are we also going to make sure that all the channels are working seamlessly?
You agree that the payment infrastructure has improved of late, very much improvement, especially in the past 1.5 years or thereabouts. And there's a continuous improvement on that. And so we ensure that sometimes technology could fail, but we're also monitoring the failure rate, which has drastically reduced from our payment system infrastructure and monitoring aside. We've seen that the infrastructure has improved. And so I believe that Nigerians are going to have a better service through the use of other channels as well.
All right, we'll definitely hope that happens. But thank you so much. It was great having your perspective today on this matter. The Acting Director of Financial Policy and Regulation at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. John Simon Onoja. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.